Across the fence, the next generation of Vermont farmers. From sheep and cows to honey and maple, we'll meet graduates of the Youth Agriculture Individual Development Account Program. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. You've heard of an IRA, which stands for Individual Retirement Account, but what about an IDA? IDA stands for Individual Development Account. In August, 15 young Vermonters became the first ever graduates of UVM Extension's Youth Agriculture IDA program. Today I'll visit with two of the young graduates, but first I want to welcome Ali Zaparo. Ali helped launch the Youth Agricultural IDA program and served as the coordinator for the first class of graduates. Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about this particular program for folks that don't know. It's so new.
Right. It's basically comprised of three main components. It's financial literacy education, which is provided by our partners, Capstone Community Action, business management training, and really getting our participants into the habit of savings. And it's supported by basically a few components: one-on-one technical assistance support, on-farm mentorships, and then supplemental workshops specifically geared towards our farmers' specific needs, and the opportunity to collaborate with other participants in the program and really just providing that gateway to the network of ag experts in Vermont.
Mm-hmm. And so how do these young people become involved?
Well, they generally get involved in farming, you mean?
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, they have an interest, but then how do they find their way to your program and figure out how to turn what is an interest into a business?
Right, so it takes a bit of work on their part, really, and a bit of work on our part, and they come to us. We do a significant amount of public PR, and we go to workshops and we reach out to teachers and schools, and they apply to the program, and if they have the right amount of motivation and are willing to do the work, then we give them the training and the tools necessary to get to the next level.
So what do participants receive for completing the program? Well,
at the end of the program itself, they've saved money throughout the program. So they end up we match they can save up to $500. We match that 2-to-1. So just bottom line dollars, they get $1,000 to put towards a productive asset that they've decided was a good investment in their business that they have developed through a business plan that they've written. So they leave the program with $1,000, a business plan in hand that they've written with one-on-one help with ag experts that are experts in business planning. And they really they get this long-lasting guidance from our network of ag experts in Vermont.
And so how important are the on-farm visits and mentorships?
Well, the on-farm visits really give that hands-on learning piece. We visit farms, and then we have specific issue areas like livestock and vegetable production and different kinds of management issue areas that they wouldn't necessarily get that in our classroom, so they go on the farm to learn. And then the mentorships really offer an opportunity to learn from the experts and get some guidance with specific farmers that they've identified that they work with pretty well.
And these farmers volunteer their time?
They do. They volunteer their time, and provided funding being available, we can also offer stipends, and that's something that we're developing in the future.
Well, joining us now is one of the 15 graduates of the program. Siri Swanson is from Orwell, Vermont, and a sophomore at Fairhaven Union High School. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
What was your initial interest in the Youth Agriculture IDA program?
Well, I started with 4-H really, and I was at a 4-H workshop, and I saw Allie there with a stand set up, and it looked kind of interesting, so I took a peek and I got a pamphlet, read a little bit about it, and kind of went home, talked it over, and I thought maybe I'll give it a shot, and I sent in my application, I think a couple days later.
Now tell me a little bit about your farm, Dancing Moon Farm.
So I raise registered breeding stock. I raise fin sheep. I also provide fiber, mostly to hand spinners, and I sell lamb.
Now tell me a little bit about your background. Is your family in farming?
I actually grew up in Massachusetts in the city. I moved here. My uncle's a farmer and a vet, so he kind of got me into the animals, but I moved up here, and again, it was 4-H that got me kind of into a little more involved, and then I just really, really liked it, so I dove right in.
And so you've been quite successful in showing your sheep. What are some of your experiences?
I've been showing 4 years now. This year, I brought a bunch of my flock down to the Northeast Youth Sheep Show, which is in Springfield, Mass. And that's really the biggest show in this part of the country for youth. And we did it really well there this year. We got a champion and 2 reserve champions with my flock.
That's pretty good. Now, how many sheep are we talking about? How many do you have?
I have about a dozen head right now.
And so what was the most important thing that you took away from the IDA program?
It was definitely just the whole business aspect of it. Like I said, I can raise my animals. I'm good at that. I know how to raise my animals. But if I can learn to put it on paper and sell it, I can really do something with it.
So this is actually taking what was kind of a hobby for you, really, and turning it into a business.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That you get a chance to do that. Can you give me some examples of some of the other things that perhaps you've learned?
Yeah, through the program, actually, I got a scholarship to go to the New England Meat Conference, which is in New Hampshire this year, and that was amazing. I just kind of started to look into meat myself, to produce lamb and sell it, and so I went down there, and it was amazing. I mean, there's these big time producers with huge slaughterhouses and farms and butchers, and just to be there and hear about their business and how much money they're dealing with and all that. Even if I'm not at that level right now, just to get that experience was amazing.
And so what about your savings and the matching funds? How did you invest that money?
I spread it out over a couple of things. Like I said about my lamb, I bought a breeding ewe to kind of improve on my meat production. I also got some slaughter equipment. I kind of like having my own hand in the processing of it. I can't do too much to actually sell, but I do as much as I can. And I got some equipment for my fences. I do a lot of electric fencing to graze, and some mineral feeders to improve nutrition for my ewes.
And so what are your future business plans for Dancing Moon Farm?
I'm definitely hope to keep expanding. I've made a lot of connections with bigger farmers and sheep producers, and I have plans already to get animals and improve my flock overall and just keep growing.
Maybe you could remind our viewers how old you are.
I'm 15.
That's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
What do your parents think about this?
They're really great. They're very supportive, but you know, they make jokes. It definitely keeps me busy. It's my main focus, really.
And so do you talk to your peers about this kind of thing, about your business experience and wanting to start your own business and grow it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I have a lot of friends who are also into agriculture, but even people who aren't, I tell them, you know, it's something, especially with this program in the agricultural side. It's, you know, you might think you're just in high school, not too much of anything special, but you can really do this. You know, it's a lot of work, but it's rewarding work.
Now, you said that you met with some big meat producers. What was their reaction to you? Were they encouraging?
Yeah, they were, you know, I was a little shocked at first. I went up and talked to a couple people and, you know, told them my story, and they didn't really know what to say at first, I think, but once they realized that I was serious, I had some great conversations and made even more connections.
And there is a way, I mean, a small producer can make a business of it.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's amazing. All right, well, as we said earlier, Siri is one of 15 graduates of the program. Another member of the first ever class is Jacob Keller of Bakersfield, Vermont. And you're seeing a picture of Jacob in one of the business planning classes. Jacob is 16 years old and a junior at BFA St. Albans High School. His agricultural interest is in beef and breeding. Well, welcome, Jacob.
Thanks for having me.
Sure, thanks for coming in. Tell us a little bit about your background and your interest in cows.
I guess my interest in cows started when I was a little kid. My grandfather always had beef cows, and I always loved going and taking care of them with him. And then I started getting into goats and stuff when I was little, and I worked for a dairy farmer, and then I just fell in love with cows, and then a beef farmer asked if I needed a job, and said sure. And then I just started loving cows ever since.
So you didn't grow up, per se, on a family farm?
No. We had a couple chickens, but that's pretty much it.
And so you've named your business Little Acres Farm. Where is it, and what are your goals?
Little Acres Farm is located in Bakersfield, and I guess my goals are to raise sustainable food for people, because I don't see the point in going huge, because then I feel like you lose contact with your animals and stuff, and then animals just become numbers. They're not actual animals anymore, and I really don't want to get to be that point. And I think people like having smaller farms where people are more in contact with their animals.
You know, people are interested in finding out exactly where their food is coming from, knowing a farmer like you.
Yeah.
And so what did you learn in the Youth IDA program that'll help you with Little Acres Farm?
I learned a lot of stuff. Like I learned how to write a business plan, and that's incredibly helpful because I'm going to need that in the future to get loans and various other things. And I think the biggest thing I learned was that there's a lot of programs out there to help me, because before this I was always under the impression that like there wasn't a lot of stuff out there to help small farmers. If you're a big farmer, that was all you. Like they were the only ones who had assistance. But the programs really taught me that that's not it, and no matter what I want to do, there's somebody out there who's willing to help me get there, whether it's teach me how to do it or help fund me to learn how to do it.
And so as part of your business plan development, you identified potential strengths and weaknesses. What's your biggest strength?
I think my biggest strength is that through the Youth IDA and my job, I've met a lot of people who have a lot of different angles on farming. So I think one of my biggest strengths is having a variety of people who have a variety of different areas of knowledge that I can ask questions to if I need help with anything.
And what have you identified as maybe your weaknesses?
Weaknesses, I think, are probably right now, I live in like the center of Bakersfield on 1.5 acres, so my cows are at another farm. So I think one of my biggest weaknesses is not having the land to have the cows on my own property. I have to pay to have them at somebody else's. So, and that can always change. Like they decide, oh, well, we don't want your cows anymore. Then I got to go find somewhere else to bring them.
And so how did you invest the money that you earned during the IDA program?
I was kind of trying to decide that because I didn't know if I wanted to buy another cow or not. And I ended up buying a young heifer that's bred. And I bought her because I have an older cow, but she's getting older, and I figured I should buy a younger cow that's from a different herd to bring in some new genetics into my herd and expand my genetic space because I'm just starting out. So I don't want all my eggs to be in one basket.
And so that's also something now you have to keep track of.
Yeah.
Take more records. So what would you say to somebody your age who's interested in maybe an agricultural business?
I would say definitely go for it. There's a lot of programs out there to help you. Obviously, the IDA class is one that I definitely recommend people to go to. But if for some reason they couldn't take it, I'd definitely say talk to the UVM Extension, talk to Allie. There's a way that you can get your business off the ground and going.
I think it was interesting what you said earlier is that, which you probably didn't know about earlier, that there were a lot of resources available to people just like you, people who are just starting out with just a few cows.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, Allie, will the Youth Agricultural IDA program continue?
Yeah, it will continue. We're actually starting up our next class. It's a little bit of a smaller cohort, and we're experimenting with that. But we really look forward to developing it in the future. I've actually stepped into a new role. I'm a senior agricultural development coordinator at the Vermont Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets. So I actually have very happily handed off the program to someone else, Kimberly Hagan, who is a pasture specialist and who has really been a huge fan of this program. So I feel very happy and confident that Kimberly will take it into the next level and just really continue to foster the next generation of Vermont farmers.
And a parting word for anybody who's watching who may know somebody who might be interested in participating?
Yep, we'd love to hear from them. We're always looking for the next class of IDAers, so just reach out to us, and if it doesn't fit for them right away, that's okay. They can apply another time, but you know, UVM Extension is always there for people no matter what, so just always reach out with questions.
Well, if you do know somebody who is interested in the program, you should contact UVM Extension's Center for Sustainable Agriculture. The center's website is on your screen, or you can always call 802-656-5459. That's 802-656-5459. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And that's our program for today. Thanks for watching. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.